Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes, and the stream wars are heating up. Recently, Disney Plus hit 50 million subscribers. Of course, Netflix has over 120 million subscribers. You know, the market is growing. People are cutting the cord. They're becoming more used to having these streaming services. Here with me to talk about it today is my good friend Nalo. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Wes. And yeah, the streaming wars are heating up. I was saying to you before the stream, this is kind of like a subplot to the entire kind of crisis we're experiencing, and there's a lot of news to discuss.
Yeah, absolutely. It turns out that the streaming service is crisis-proof is when it comes to Corona, COVID-19, because everyone's at home. Everyone's streaming right now, and they're watching all the content and everything like that. So we have talked about how maybe Disney Plus didn't have enough original content when they launched, and we do think that in the end that might cause some customer dissatisfaction. They may lose some retention and things like that. But 50 million is a huge subscriber number. Not sure exactly how many are paid, but they're definitely doing all right, and they're probably very happy that service is available right now. Now, one of the big questions when that happened was, when Disney Plus goes online, how is it going to impact Netflix? Is this going to, draw down, their subscriber numbers? Or is their subscriber rate just going to decrease a little bit? And it turns out there are some effects on Netflix subscriptions, but they're very minimal. And it turns out Disney Plus is more a competitor right now with things like HBO and Showtime. So people are kind of canceling those premium services and moving over to Disney Plus as like an add-on or a value add to their Netflix subscription, to where they can build out, that entertainment for their children. There's not a lot of entertainment for the adults, but there's a lot of entertainment for their kids right there. So where they can watch the Netflix and the kids can watch that Disney Plus.
Yeah, I think it's a really great way to frame the conversation. Previously, everyone's been discussing Disney as a competitor to Netflix, but in comparison, Netflix has built up a war chest of content. They have so many shows, it's kind of a little bit absurd how many shows they've actually pumped out. But now that people have so much time, why would you cancel Netflix when you just have a bottomless pit of content to go through? And some of it is really, really high quality. They put out some movies that even got nominated for Academy Awards. They got some really top directors, and they have a bunch of trash shows too. So, everything you would want is there. So I think the only real question is whether Disney can invest enough in original programming to keep subscribers up. But it is better to frame it as this kind of elite premium service where, HBO has one or two shows going at a time. They come out weekly, and when they're over, so like right now, Westworld is what they have. There's not that much else. But, when it ends, they'll probably have another really high one. So if Disney could at least have something to follow up Mandalorian, and then, every few months have like a top show, I think they would be a serious contender to compete with a Showtime or an HBO. But people probably will still want to keep their Netflix for the unlimited binging experience.
Yeah, and speaking of The Mandalorian, I believe Disney Plus just announced that they're going to have an 8-part documentary series about The Mandalorian, the making of it. So they are on a standstill as far as production of new content. Lucasfilm, MCU related content that they were expecting to be filling the service right now. So they're kind of digging into their bag of tricks, and they're getting some Mandalorian related content out there, which I think is actually really smart. So one of the elephant in the room is when you start looking at the numbers, Disney and Netflix have massive amounts of cash to debt ratio, as in they have lots of debt and much less cash on hand. And one of the articles that I read recently was speculating that now could be the time for somebody like Apple, with their Apple TV, to really pounce on the market, because they are absolutely flush, and I mean flush, with cash. Their cash holdings dwarf Amazon's right now, who of course also in the market as well. Amazon is very healthy in comparison as well. They have way more cash than debt. But if Amazon wanted to, they could go into the market and basically buy up everything if they wanted to right now.
Apple.
Yeah.
Apple is sitting on over $200 billion in cash. Amazon's sitting on $50 billion in cash. And, there's a controversial figure I follow called Peter Thiel. He's a famous investor, one of the first investors in Facebook. And he's someone who's been deriding publicly the Apple CEOs and the Google CEOs that, they don't actually innovate. It's all actually kind of a hand trick because they just want to protect their core business of, ad revenue for Google or iPhone sales. And if they were truly interested in innovating, they would not be sitting on $200 billion in cash. They would be investing that 10 times over. But now looking like kind of a smart decision that they have so much cash on hand while everyone else is leveraged up and has a crazy debt to cash ratio. So now really is an opportunity that Apple could actually start to spend even a fraction of their cash reserves and do things like, buy up movies that haven't even been released in theaters yet, start putting them on Apple TV, compete with other contenders in that kind of sense. And this really could be their moment in TV. And I think Apple TV so far has been overlooked, but I've been just started watching myself, and the quality is actually pretty up there compared to HBO shows. And I think this could be a time where Apple actually starts to make some moves with all that cash.
Yeah, they could absolutely dominate the market as far as new movies and even the available content. When those contracts are coming up and it's time to renew the Friends or The Office or whatever, some of those shows that really generate a lot of views for Netflix and stuff, they could get a lot of that really bingeable content over on Apple TV and really make a play for it.
By extension, they could even just purchase a film studio outright and get all this kind of IP and, just start to really be a player here.
Yeah, it's crazy. They wouldn't even have to do what AT&T did, where they had to take out that enormous amount of debt to get their hands on Warner Brothers. They could actually just buy it with cash. Insanity.
Yeah, so outside of Google, Amazon, Apple, Comcast, AT&T, Disney, Netflix, AT&T has the most outrageous debt to cash ratio, and that is because of their purchase of Time Warner.
Absolutely, it is. And of course, Disney purchased Fox recently, but I think those numbers are definitely going to change because we know that Disney, a month ago, gained access to a new $5 billion line of credit, and just recently they gained access to a new $5 billion line of credit. So they have an additional $10 billion of credit to kind of get them through this, COVID corona crisis that's basically halted the entertainment industry. It's absolutely insane because their debt is absolutely going to go up. Not, they don't have to spend all that $10 billion, but they're going to spend some of it.
Yeah, and just quickly back to AT&T, their cellular business will likely be a steady earner, but they do have HBO Max coming. It's a crowded market. It's priced high. But it does look like they have some more content lined up compared to Disney's opening. I think that Disney before this crisis was just really leaning on their kind of nostalgia and kids angle. And, they probably thought by now they could have more shows out. And so it's interesting to see, which are actually more resilient to this new dynamic.
So speaking of HBO Max, we definitely have to talk about that one. That one is launching in May. And they are much better prepared than Disney was as far as Disney Plus with new content, original content, series and movies. But they have one thing going for them besides that is brand recognition. People know HBO brand. They associated that with really high quality things like, your Westworld, your Sopranos, Game of Thrones, shows of that nature. Of course, those are all going to be there, as well as some of those Time Warner shows that they got, along with the FX and channels like that. But the subscription price is actually kind of insane going into the market with a $14.99 subscription fee in May 2020, competing with a Netflix, which I believe you can get as low as $5, and Disney Plus, which is at $7, over twice as much.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what they're thinking. I know, though, that that's kind of been HBO's MO all along. It was always kind of this premium service, pay-per-view. And even now, part of the reason they're doing this HBO Max is because it's difficult to even get access to HBO, especially international. Like for me, I can only access it online through my cable provider. So you actually need to already be paying for it as a premium service. And so they might be making a mistake. They might be, still in a pre-COVID-19 mindset. They're still almost in like a 1990s mindset with this kind of premium pay-per-view. And as people are tightening their belts, but also looking for stuff to binge, they might be able to get Disney Plus Netflix plus Apple TV for, not that much more than just an HBO Max subscription.
Oh yeah, if you do the Disney Plus package, you can get Hulu, Disney Plus, and ESPN Plus for the same price. Actually, it's cheaper because I think it's just $14 instead of $15.
Yeah, so you can do that plus Netflix, and you don't want to then double your bill by just adding HBO Max.
Yeah, it's crazy. So I'm here in the Philippines, and when I arrived here, when I moved here, Game of Thrones hadn't ended, and I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan, and I wanted to get access to the HBO Go app, and I was like, oh, it'll just be a subscription fee. And it turns out I couldn't use HBO Go unless I was in Manila using a specific cable provider, because my cable provider wasn't on the package. I could never have access to it, so it was very frustrating. And I know what you're talking about, to where HBO is you can't actually access it around the world. It's really strange. So I am excited about HBO Max because of all the content and what they're going to have. I am not excited about the price, but they are hitting the gate with content. In 2020, they're going to have 38 HBO Max originals, an additional 12 hitting HBO Max in 2021. Lots of DC-related content. They're going to have a Green Lantern show. They're going to have a DC Superhero High show. What was some of the other ones? Genlock. I don't know why they're doing that one. Justice League Dark. There's also going to be a Strange Adventures. There's also going to be a Grease show. So they've got a lot of known IPs that are going to be in here.
I also just plug Doom Patrol Season 2.
Yes, Doom Patrol Season 2. Tokyo Vice, which is kind of going to be kind of like Miami Vice, but obviously in Tokyo. And they have some pretty good kid stuff as far as Looney Tunes. There's going to be a new Gremlins show. I love Gremlins as a kid, so I would definitely watch that with my kids. Jellystone Park, so you're talking Yogi Bear. So they definitely have some IP and some shows that are interesting that people should be excited for. But man, that $15 price tag it's just staring me in the face.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I will be a subscriber, but I was really surprised with Doom Patrol. That was one of the most original, funny shows. I can't believe it got greenlit in the first place. And so if they continue to kind of have this kind of very unique content that you can't really get anywhere else, especially with a Green Lantern or really itching that superhero vibe, if they can get it out faster than the Marvel shows, they might be able to attract a good audience.
Absolutely. And then, of course, they still have Greg Berlanti, who's done all the CW shows. If you like the CW Arrowverse, he has a lot of experience at least producing superhero-related television. Over at Marvel, of course, Jeff Loeb was just shown the door, and they don't really have that figurehead anymore. I guess it's going to be Kevin Feige. But HBO Max is not the only competitor entering the streaming market soon. We also have the Peacock. NBC's streaming platform is coming up. It's a terrible name as far as I'm concerned. I can't believe they're calling their streaming platform the Peacock. It's a bad name, but they're making a calculated gamble, and I think they're going to find out that their brand recognition is much more in line with CBS than it is with Disney. I think, CBS is much more associated with an older audience, and CBS, of course, has their own streaming service, headlined by some Star Trek content. And they don't have a lot of subscribers because most of their audience is just a little bit older, and they're not really ready to cut the cord like younger viewers are. People that probably frequent HBO, certainly the subscribers for Disney. And I think NBC is going to find out that their viewer base might run a little bit older than some of these, and they're probably not going to have the success of anywhere close to, of course, Disney Plus or even HBO Max. And they don't really have any original content coming because all of their productions are halted, but they're still going to launch in a couple months.
Yeah, if I were them, I would delay it and change the name. But they're a little bit, quite different than HBO Max in that they're going to have 3 options, kind of similar to Hulu. There'll be a free ad-supported version, an ad-free one for subscribers, and a third cheaper version, which will have some ads throughout. So they might be able to, get at least some ad revenue from the freemium versions. And they could, Comcast, which is one of the parent companies, they do have the resources to potentially make some small acquisitions in film production. But you're right, they're launching and they're going to have no original content. So it's just essentially, another place to watch reruns. And there was a quote from one of their executives that, starting in 2021, they're going to have The Office and then the Olympics, and then they'll be unstoppable. Well, people have been watching The Office reruns for 15 years. It's one of my favorite shows, but, you shouldn't bet on that to carry your entire streaming platform. And also betting on the Olympics. People were in denial just a month ago that the Olympics would even be delayed. Now they're delayed a year. But, no one has a crystal ball. We don't actually know if, travel will be the same by the time the Olympics happen, if there'll be an outbreak somewhere, or if the Olympics might get delayed again. So to kind of bet your entire streaming platform on a future sporting event that is in an uncertain territory, and if that's all you really have, I don't really see this as being a knockout success.
No, I've not seen in their future. I think they're going to find out that their brand recognition is much more in line with CBS than it is with HBO or Disney, and they probably should just consolidate with CBS, if I'm being honest, and kind of put that content together, and maybe they would be a good candidates for that first consolidation in the market, because eventually the market's going to be too oversaturated with streaming options. It's not going to be able to support all of these, and there's going to have to be some mergers and stuff like that. I don't see the Peacock being a big hit, and they're probably going to regret launching it without original content. Especially, the economy might be opening up by then, and people might be binged out.
Binged out. Haven't heard that one before.
Hey, it could happen. We've all been binging for 6 weeks now. It feels like. So hopefully, it sounds like maybe by mid-May, early June, things will start opening up. Hopefully. But like we said, the streaming wars are definitely heating up. We got HBO Max coming in. We've got the Peacock coming into the market. Apple is just waiting there with a pile of cash. If they wanted to alter the landscape and really make a lot of acquisitions, they could certainly do that. But Disney Plus with their 50 million subscribers, Netflix with their 120 something million subscribers are definitely at the head of the class right now.
Yeah, it seems to be that way. The streaming wars have been, predicted, and they seem like they're now here. And keep your eye on Apple TV. They have some interesting content. They have tons and tons of cash, and they might start making some moves.
Nalo, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks for having me, Wes.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.